Konnichiwa. Welcome to the AI Automation Dojo, where we stare into the abyss of the modern workplace and the abyss stares back with a loading screen. Today we're diving headfirst into the glorious and sometimes bewildering state of automation in 2025. Are we rocketing towards a utopian future or just endlessly rebooting the same old problems? We'll be tackling the cyclic history of automation. Is it innovation or just the same old Roomba in a fancy hat? The technology zealots, the ones who believe their smart fridge is just one update away from achieving enlightenment and solving world hunger, and the technology deniers, still waiting for the Y2K bug to finally kick in. I'm your host, Andrzej Kinastowski, one of the founders of Office Samurai, the company that dares to ask, what if business consulting could be done without the PowerPoint presentations that clearly violate the Geneva Convention? So, whether you're a CEO trying to future-proof your company before the robots unionize, a tech aficionado who speaks fluent acronym, or just someone trying to figure out if synergy is still a word people use unironically, pull up a chair. You're in the right place. Now grab your favorite katana, or perhaps a comfy blanket to hide under, depending on how this conversation goes, and let's get to it. Today we have a special guest, Dominik Jaskulski, who I have met a long time ago. We met at UBS. We've been working together then, and then in Lufthansa, and then he was brave and crazy enough to start Office Samurai. Dominik, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, hello everyone, konnichiwa. It's nice, maybe not seeing, but you will be seeing me, but it's nice to be here.
Dominik, tell me, you have been in the world of automation for a very long time. Tell the people who are watching us, why are you here? Why are you the one that I'm talking to? And most importantly, when is the last time you wrote a VBA macro?
So I guess the main reason is that we run business together, that I'm here. Prior to Office Samurai, I was working as automation manager, responsible for scaling up automation programs. I mean, starting, then scaling up automation programs at a few GBSs of big enterprises. I guess the last time I wrote macro was around 8 years ago. So I have, 16 years of professional experience starting my career. And one of my first tasks when I was still an intern was actually writing VBA macro. Then for many years, when people were mentioning something about office automation, very often in 80% cases, they actually meant VBA, right? Because it was the fastest way to go around not working applications, missing functionalities, and so on.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes. When you are writing code, you can actually close somehow in your mind. You can focus on this one thing. The rest of the world doesn't exist, so it's a nice kind of flow. Yeah. So from this perspective, I'm missing it a little. Yeah.
Okay. I think I miss it too. I've been. I also started with macros. My automation journey was also with macros, and it is something that maybe from time to time we will get back to it. Today we want to talk about the state of automation in the year 2025. What do you think we should be talking about?
Well, I would actually start with what we will be not talking about, because definitely we are not the guys who are good with industrial automation, with going to a production company, talking about Industry 4.0, IoT, totally not our area of expertise. So if you are listening to this podcast and you think or you hope we will be speaking about this, I guess you can end now Or if you are interested in learning how automation in office environment, in services is being done, then please stay with us.
So you started with the VBA macros, but a lot has happened since then, right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, in 2014, 2015, everyone thought RPA is coming. It will replace all type of this traditional macro-based automations. The hopes were super inflated, in my opinion. When we were speaking with some heads of GBS organizations, they actually thought, okay, I will need to close my part of organization in a few years, right? Or 70% of accountant work will be automated. And you know, since then, probably if you calculate how many accountants are still there on planet Earth, my suspicion is that actually the number grew. It didn't fall, right? So a lot of happened. I have a feeling we are in very similar moment with AI. Also, 1 year, 2 years ago, after GPT 3.0 has been published by OpenAI, everyone expected AI will automate everything. AI will take your jobs, right? And you still can hear those ideas on the market, but there are companies who verify it on themselves in very interesting way. Have you heard about Klarna? I mean, I know you did.
No, Klarna, no. I mean, I've heard you mention it, but I don't know the story itself.
Okay, so the Klarna CEO, I think 1.5 years ago, he said, okay, AI is already so good in answering our customer queries and taking care of our customers. They decided to lay off 700 people, planning to lay off a total of 3,000. And it's also funny if you see their valuation, because their valuation was also, I think, inflated a lot. I think $46 billion. Then after, I think 1 year after those layoffs, it was 7 billions. So really huge drop. And they announced, I think recently, that they will be hiring again all people, maybe not the same people. I wouldn't like to work there if I get fired because of AI.
Yeah, probably wouldn't want to come back.
But they are now hiring again, and they are saying, from what I remember, that it's more about quality, that they want to provide a better quality, which cannot be really done only with AI.
But why didn't it work? Like, because when I think about RPA, the hype was there, and I do remember those times, and every consultant was saying, 50% of your organization will be gone within 3 years and all that stuff. We know that did not happen. But on the other hand, RPA is now kind of business as usual, and it is, if you turn it off, the company will collapse, right? I mean, the
big part of back office could collapse.
There's so much being done. And if you look at banks or insurance companies, it's a huge amount of work that actually has been automated. But when it comes to AI, it looks like we're going through the same thing, that we have inflated expectations. But the question is, why doesn't it work? Because you look at LinkedIn and everybody's showing off their labs where everything works and those agents can do anything that the human can. But somehow when you go and try to implement it in big scale, somehow the market doesn't seem to be able to make it happen.
Actually, I don't agree here with you. I think that RPA proved to be useful, and we know examples of companies where they have automated 15, 20, even in one company I'm working with, 25% of workforce totally, right? So I would say it's rather a matter of how good you are in implementing those automations. And I really like this quote that we overestimate what the technology can do for us in a short term, but we underestimate the influence it can has on our lives in longer term. It was the same with internet. I mean, we were kids back then, right? 90s. But also a lot of analysts thought, okay, now all shopping will be moved to internet. Now all social interactions will be moved to internet, right? These were the predictions in 90s. And if you remember 90s, internet didn't have such big influence on us back then. But if you are thinking now about 30-year period, it really changed how economy looks like, what we do as human beings, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you do switch it off right now, everything stops. Like the world isn't really able to function without it. But we did have, in the meantime, we had the dot-com bubble, right? So the hype was built and it had to be popped to kind of get back to actually using the technology. Do you think generative AI will change the world in such a fundamental way as the internet did?
Probably in longer term, yes. When you are thinking about applying AI, a lot of people are thinking about those simple chatbots where you can ask questions, get answers. So it's more like, replacing Wikipedia, right? Or replacing Google. But the actual power of LLMs is that you can combine it with knowledge of your organization or some maybe public institutions in the future. And this AI can not only answer you, but even suggest some approaches, help you do some planning, and everything based on the knowledge of your organization. And then you have agentic automation, right? So AI solutions where you don't really need to see the AI as a human being, right? It can be somewhere on a server working in the background for you, but it's helping, for example, reply to your questions, or it's helping your company to move goods from place A to place B without much human intervention. So I guess this is the big revolution that is awaiting us. So maybe not the chatbots, but rather how else we can work with those technologies. It's like with web pages, right? The only fact that we had web pages, I think, since 1991. Okay, we still have them, right? You can create your business card as a web page. You can create, I don't know, a web shop, etc. Or watch the movie. But as a web page itself, it didn't make such big difference, right? It was the technologies that were stacked on it.
Yeah, I mean, you have your banking application on your mobile phone. You can send a wire transfer at any moment, wherever you are. You can get any information that you may want. This is what really changed things. And your hardware can talk to each other wherever it is. So this is what really changes things. I think it's a good way of thinking about generative AI and how it's going to be implemented kind of below the surface. And very often we won't even know it's there, but it's going to make computers and any other devices we're using be able to do things that we think computers shouldn't be able to do.
Right. And you actually have zealots on both sides, right? So there are people who think that AI will change everything in like 1 or 2 years, that we are like under some heavy revolution that will make unemployment rate skyrocketing, I don't know, to 50%, right, in the next 1 or 2 years. And on the other side, you also have those companies that prefer, to build a roadmap, to maybe hire McKinsey consultants, then to discuss the roadmap, then to start thinking what they can do. And they are already behind, right? They haven't started doing anything in the area of AI. So of course, what we are often recommending is to be somewhere between them, right? Not to be over optimistic, but we also cannot pretend that those technologies doesn't exist, right? We need to start thinking, not even start thinking. We should actually start checking how we can implement those technology within our business processes, how AI can support our customers, how it can support our order management, HR functions, the whole supply chain that we have in our companies. And the sooner your organization will start maybe not only playing, but piloting, trying with AI in different areas, the quicker it will learn where it makes sense to use it and where it doesn't.
Yeah, that's one thing that waiting doesn't help you with that much, is that if you don't have first-hand experience, as you say, a lot of consultants will come and they will tell you stories and you have no way of judging whether those stories make sense or not. And we do know those companies that basically have nothing when it comes to GenAI, right? Everything is blocked, right? Everything is blocked I mean, it's a genuine fear of some data leaks. I get that. But not even things that are easy to and safe to implement, like if you're on Microsoft, you can get a Copilot. It's not that expensive, right? You can spin up your own instance of something in a cloud, but a lot of companies are still refusing to do that because they're still maybe planning and building roadmaps and doing all the security assessments.
Exactly. I would actually say that there are a lot of companies who are on the leash of compliance and IT security, right? So they are so afraid to implement something new. And simply, it will take them the next 3, 4, 5 years to start anything with AI. And of course, there are also a lot of, I would say, stupid ideas. Sometimes even board members or CEOs have, because they also don't understand what AI actually is. And I was speaking with one of our customers a few months ago, and the guy who I was speaking of, he was like next to CIO of the organization, so he was kind of chief architect there. And he told me that their CEO of the whole group, it was a 10,000 people company. He came to him telling, "Oh, you know what? We need to start thinking about AI. I want you to spend 200,000 on Copilot licenses." And the question was, okay, but why should we spend 200? Oh, it's everyone is implementing AI. We also need to implement AI, right? So just, you have the budget, just spend it on the licenses. And of course, you can do it if you have
Sure, Microsoft will appreciate it, I'm sure.
Exactly. But, we have seen it the last year that there was a hype for Copilot and autopilots and different type of pilots that are supported by AI. And companies very often are buying them to show that we are going big scale, that we gave everyone access to AI. But what's funny? Very often they have not trained those people.
Yeah.
So the people in their organizations, they just have licenses. But, maybe a small percent of those people did some online trainings, are actually trying to play with it. But most of the employees, if you just throw licenses into them, it will not increase their productivity, right? That's, when we speak about this, this sounds really silly and stupid. But if you are in those CEO shoes and you are playing with a golf with your friends, and those friends are saying, "Hey, we implemented AI. What about you?"
You cannot be behind, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you have the money, why not spend it? That's fine. But I do agree that if you're buying a technology, especially a technology that is so fresh, right? Because it's something that people are not yet used to using.
Mm-hmm.
And those who are already using it, a lot of them are not using it right. And very often they don't even know how to use it best and what things that technology could help them with. We know quite a few of organizations that do that, but we also know some where we have been doing a lot of trainings for them, right? And they said, okay, we're buying licenses, we need to train those people. Possibly not everyone, but at least some. And then this knowledge will be in the organization and they will show others and this will start actually working, right?
Exactly. And, maybe Copilot will not make sense on every position in your company with its current capabilities, but for sure you should play with those technologies. You should try them, but there are areas in your organization where, I don't know, writing emails, doing notes from meetings, preparing some presentations where this is a common task of people, and this type of software can improve the productivity of your employees. But of course, it doesn't make sense to say, hey, we are a bold company, let's move forward very quickly, because if you are paying several $million for this kind of software and only 5-10% of your workforce is using it, doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you have a few million to spend and you don't have a good way of spending it, we're happy to take it.
And maybe implement something.
Why not?
Or build a roadmap, at least.
Build a roadmap. So we have those AI zealots and we have those AI deniers, and it's kind of coming back to the RPA hype. I think it was kind of the same when RPA was taking off, right? I mean, but we see, even today, we see companies starting with RPA, right? Because those 7 or 8 years ago when the early adopters were starting, they were still kind of, it's not good, it's not there yet, we need to wait, and some of them waited for a very long time, and some of them really big, innovative companies, right?
Yeah, and if you think about this, they actually potentially lost quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because usually at the beginning, when you start with those technologies, you have a lot of low-hanging fruits. So very obvious processes where you can use a certain technology on a bigger scale, which have a higher return on investment. They pay off in just few months. So if you would actually calculate how much money they lost by not using a certain technology, it's again probably millions, right? So that's why I'm saying that both those approaches doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, there's such a thing as implementing the technology too early, and there's such a thing as implementing it too late. Of course, then the question is, when is it the right time? And probably the answer for different companies will be different. But implementing RPA today, you're late, right? That's clear. We have touched on that with the Copilot, but we also have those stories where companies buy an AI tool, whatever it's going to be, right? That's going to let them produce AI agents and AI assistants very easily, right? And we see limited success with a lot of them, right? Do you think companies know how to use AI in their business processes? Do they have an idea of how to introduce it, or is it just trial and error and, listening to one consultancy and then listening to another because the first one proved to be bullshitting them?
And very often the second one as well.
yeah, true.
I see a lot of this. So for those of you who are listening to us first time, Andrzej is more responsible for technology at Office Samurai. I'm more responsible for business development. So speaking to customers, also learning what they need and what's happening at their companies. So I have actually seen quite a lot of companies that invested in enterprise AI platform. And since 9 months, we are keep hearing from them. We are still preparing the implementation. We are still looking for first use cases, and again, maybe this is because of the scale. Maybe because they wanted to implement one huge platform that will take over all type of AI projects in their organization. Again, they over invested. And I have seen it in my career also with RPA, even in the companies that I work with, where, for example, they were buying licenses for, I don't know, €500,000 or more. And, the utilization after the first year was not even 5%.
Yeah.
Right? So most of the money they have spent, it was totally unnecessary. And I have a feeling we are repeating the cycle. I'm wondering what will be the next cycle that will come after AI.
Quantum computing. I'm 50% sure it's going to be that, but we'll see.
That's interesting bet. And yes, because quantum computing can also mess around with a lot of things, especially in security area, right?
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
But before that, we still have companies that are already trying to implement some very large AI enterprise platforms, and very often I see these are tools that were created 10, 15 years ago, and someone just added access to LLM on those platforms, right? And now they are AI enterprise platforms, also being sold for huge money to a lot of companies. And I'm really surprised that companies don't do much of pilots or stage implementations. Like, okay, you start with POC, you do a pilot, you do a quick rollout to one business unit, and okay, then when you are sure this is scalable, working as you want, then you should be bold, right? And invest more, press the pedal, and kick off the global implementation. But when you are, we are on a stage where we are still playing with a technology. And I don't know if you have been to LinkedIn recently. I know you are not a big fan. You can already see some hate on AI, right? That, we were promised X and AI didn't deliver. But I'm wondering if this was AI or if this was, some people claiming they have AI-based solution.
Yeah, that is true. And we already have some customers that come to us with bad implementations of AI and ask us to help them fix them. So maybe it's gonna clear things out in time.
It's nice that you mentioned this, because we have this good friend, Aga. We cannot say in which company Aga is, but she was telling us about this AI assistant implementation, where the assistant should be answering the queries in Microsoft Teams. So it's all based on Azure. The interface to the employees is Teams. And the biggest problem they are having is that this solution cannot reply in different languages. I mean, come on.
That's what this technology is best at, right?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting case. When we took Konrad, our technical lead, to the call, he was like flabbergasted, because it's really hard to understand what they did so that the tool behaves this way, right? I mean, that languages are something that GenAI is really, really good at. So to make it not being able to reply in different languages, that's kind of, maybe it's an achievement itself.
But, just to be fair, depending on the model that you are using, it may happen that the model is behaving differently, right? So if you have been using, I don't know, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and now you are on 4.1, you think it should behave the same way, but suddenly it's behaving totally different. And in a big scale organization, you cannot really allow this to happen, right? So there is this whole new topic of how to properly test LLM-based solutions.
Sure, but when you're taking a consultancy that is to build a tool for you, you would expect them to know those things and to be able to change the models or to change the prompts and to be able to test it properly, right? I mean, that's what I would expect if I had the money to spend.
Right, but again, it's very similar to RPA, right? The big consultings, they have been building huge programs, giving you 20 developers or maybe 30. Why not be a little bit more bold? Or 50.
Sure.
And they actually have been hiring, people that just graduated from universities and that were learning how to do RPA on your projects, right? So I have a strange feeling that in many situations
it's the same thing again, right?
it might be similar, right? That we have junior people or not experienced people just playing around with the technology that has been sold by very senior executive salesperson that made a good impression.
I think we need to study RPA more to have a better grasp of what's going to happen next with AI. I think I really like this idea of the cycles going on and on and on, just with new technologies. I think it may be. I was even thinking. I didn't do it yet. I will do it. I had this chart a few years ago about RPA. How many searches people do on the term RPA in Google, right?
Yeah.
And on the chart you could clearly see where things started happening, where things started getting adopted, where the hype started, when it died down, right? All of it you could clearly see on this chart. I think if we did the same thing to AI agents or generative AI and kind of put them together, I think that would be a big match, and we would know where it's going. Right?
Probably, yes. I mean, you always have those good pioneers, right? So the companies that will start proper projects from day one, they will be successful, etc. But we are more talking about the majority of the market. And I guess with the former technologies, it stabilized like 4 or 5 years after this first hype. So probably 2027, 2028, we should see a similar standardization of how AI is being implemented, more successful projects, and so on.
Sure. No, that absolutely makes sense. The speed of adoption will be different for different companies, for different markets, and so on. But I would also expect another 2-3 years for it to kind of mature enough so that we have clear rules. We know exactly what works and what doesn't. But we'll see how the technology will be changing. I mean, the LLM engines themselves, we don't seem to know yet how far we can take it. So
exactly, and if you compare it to former cycles, I think this one has much bigger amplitude.
Yeah.
So it was overhyped much more than prior technologies. So it can, also fall down much quicker. But the speed of change, so how all players on the market, how fast they are in implementing new AI solutions, it's mind-blowing, right? You have a new model from Anthropic coming a certain week. And then OpenAI shows a new ChatGPT, which is better. And then Google says, "Oh, hold my katana. I will show you one of the things we have in basements, right?" And when you think it's over, then Chinese companies come and I don't know how they say in Chinese, hold my katana, but
that's what they say, I'm sure. Yeah. No, it is true, and this is why we don't know where it's going to go. Although we've seen cases where we get a bunch of new models and they are worse than the previous generation, right? Like the new GPTs seem to hallucinate more than the previous ones. So it's kind of,
but
it's still...
But it's also a matter of specialization, right? It might be that we will not see, a huge changes how smart LLMs are, but we might find that there are more LLMs specialized in a certain area, like LLMs which are much better in text generation, while other are better in, I don't know, understanding pictures, right?
Sure. No, but this is why, and this is what I wanted to ask you, is that in our company we have often made fun of people saying they're being agile, because we're not making fun of agile itself, but what people sometimes introduce agile as. So we've been working for one company where the word agile was completely forbidden because people were saying if they would come unprepared for a meeting, they would say they're agile, right? So there's many ways you can twist it. But looking at the AI technologies, what's happening to them, how unstable it is, how fast it changes, and how unreliable what people tell you may be, I think this agile way, so try something small, do a test, do a lab, make up your own mind. This is probably, for this stage of maturity of the technology, this is probably the best thing that you could do.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, are organizations really ready or have they really implemented agile, right? Because in a big organizations you have this SAFe framework, and I heard or seen a meme that it's already 800 pages, right? So how you can be agile? I mean, if you think about agile principles, they had just few rules, right? And based on these few rules, they built a philosophy of delivering software and working together. Then based on those rules, they have generated more rules, more detailed one, how people should collaborate, etc. But it was all the time rooted in those rules. But when you have 800 pages manual and now learn this project, do this project with Agile, but in our organization, it needs to be SAFe framework. And here is the book of 800 pages. It doesn't sound agile anymore.
No, it doesn't. I'm sure it's a very interesting read, though. Something to put you to sleep.
After 2 pages.
Yeah.
But, I guess the reason why we are making fun so often from different approaches, technologies, is to be on a sane side, right? We have, at Office Samurai, we have one of our values, no bullshit. So we also allow our employees to make fun of certain things if they think that this doesn't make sense. We encourage them to stop us when we are, pitching something and it doesn't make sense. So I think it's a very healthy way of doing business, because when people see that you are not trying to sell them something, but generally help them solve the problem, it's a totally different discussion.
Sure, and it kind of circles back to the zealots discussion, right? You cannot be, whatever you're doing and whatever methodologies or ideas or philosophies you're using, you cannot be a zealot, because this twists those ideas into something that no longer works, right? And it can be with anything. I mean, I'm someone who often makes fun of project management, especially the old school ones with the PM box and all of this. But all of this comes from great ideas. It just, so many things have been built on it, like in your Agile example, that it's no longer what it was supposed to be, right?
Exactly.
That would be my perspective.
Yes, I mean, with project management is often also because people are using wrong tools to not to the projects where they should use it, right? If you are building a highway, probably using PM book, Prince, and their methodology makes sense, right? But if you are doing a short pilot project for, I don't know, 100 hours of development, maybe it doesn't make sense to, create a Gantt chart. If you have just one person gathering requirements, then doing development, supporting with tests, and and that's it. The pilot is finished. We can stop the project and say, okay, what to do next.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about being able to assess what's needed and what isn't, what is an overkill and what is the right thing to do. In the automation world, what gets you most excited these days?
Good question. I think I can quote Daniel Dines here that the future is agentic, and I think this is the most hot topic right now. So AI agents, how to build them, how to test them, how to teach them knowledge, but also how to orchestrate the processes where you might have multiple AI agents. And very often I see on LinkedIn posts like, "Oh, I have created this great AI agent," right? So people just prompted OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Perplexity, or some other on some other platform, right? They prepared their own. Of course, they call it agent, right? But basically, you have a prompt that is defining what LLM how it should behave, what it should do for you, what format should be the answer, what information it requires, what language, etc. So this is all in prompt, but it's I wouldn't say it's a huge agentic automation, right? You rather have your personal AI assistant that is helping you with a certain task. And for example, 1 month ago, I have been discussing with our colleague Anna, who is responsible for marketing at Office Samurai, how we can make sure that our copy of LinkedIn posts or other materials are similar, with the same tone, without this overhyped marketing. And we figure out, okay, let's try to build an AI agent. And with support of another AI agent, I basically wrote what I need. This agent prepared a huge prompt with examples, and we can prepare just a draft of a post. We can send it an article or some other type of input, and based on this, it will prepare for you a nice LinkedIn post, which we typically then review, correct in most cases, and then we can use it. So it's saving a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's creating quite nice outputs, but I wouldn't say this is agentic automation, right? This is our AI assistant just for Office Samurai that is helping us with this one task, maybe saving few hours a month with generating posts. However, when we are thinking about agentic automation, very often you don't even see those solutions. They are in the background. It might be a sequence of several agents handing over work to each other, or even deciding, okay, I'm on this stage, this is the situation, and one agent can decide which other agent should take over the work from him, right? And we are now talking about big frameworks, agentic automation frameworks, when you can have multiple integrations, multiple RPA robots, multiple queries to SQL databases, and then somewhere between AI agents doing the work or even orchestrating other AI agents. And I think this is the big change that we will see. And this is the most, for me personally, this is the most interesting area when it comes to AI automation in enterprise.
Sure. Yeah, this is something that we will be talking about in the next episode, so quite soon, tune in. But this is also something that is, it also excites me, and that I think there's enormous potential for this. It will really allow us to get our automation programs on a totally next level. It's going to allow us to automate things that have been bothering us for a decade, but with existing technologies, we're unable to do that. But this is still something that is very much a work in progress, right? I mean, it's we know it can be done, and we even in Office Samurai we have labs where this has been done and it works, right? But it is still pretty fresh, and doing it at large scale, it does require quite a lot of effort and resources that are really skilled, that really understand how this should work.
You know, you can compare it to GenAI models that are generating videos or pictures, right? And I know that you are a lot into this area. Probably people did not see your T-shirt with your dog.
No, maybe I'll wear it the next time.
You should. I guess you should wear it next time. But you know, we already can see examples of short movies generated by GenAI models, right? So, of course, these are not LLMs. This is a little different technology. But I guess when we will see a new category when it comes to Oscars, AI-generated movies, maybe, you know, in 2 or 3 years, maybe longer.
I think the Academy will need more time, but...
maybe. But, you know, then you will be able to say, okay, this technology is mature enough that is acknowledged by everyone. And it's the same with AI agents, right? Probably we still need a few years to make it to our Oscars.
Yeah.
But you already have examples where you can use them.
Sure. Just don't expect them to be easy and kind of out of the box working for you, but absolutely, this can already be implemented and it can work in quite a lot of cases.
Yeah. You know, if we can make a fun of one more thing on the market, it just came to my mind that, you know, there are those analysts or AI evangelists, if we can say, that claimed, I think even 1 year or 1.5 years ago, that RPA is dead because some GenAI tools can already use UI automation. Yeah. And they claimed, okay, in few years, you just show AI how you are doing the process, how your colleagues are doing the process, what are the different rules. Maybe it can also be learned from your procedures, SOPs, and then AI will do the whole process on its own. And you know what's funny? I heard the same story in 2015. 10 years ago, there were RPA companies claiming that they are almost there. That's just a few steps, and they will deliver it, burning down Blue Prism, UiPath, Automation Anywhere, so all the market leaders that were there. But you know, I don't know what happened with those companies. Probably they don't exist anymore.
You don't see them on the Gartner reports, so.
But you know, with AI, this is potentially possible, but again, it will take some time. Yeah,
but it will also be an overkill in most cases, right? Because if you have a process that your automations need to perform thousands of times every day, then doing it the RPA way makes the most sense, right? Because sending the whole screen every time, multiple times per execution to an LLM, that's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of tokens, and a lot of money, right? And if you can do it the simpler way, that's fine. Maybe if you have some systems that change very often, then maybe you could think about something like self-healing selectors or something like this, right? But to have full control for large-scale processes, the fact that it worked on your desktop the 5 times that you run it doesn't mean that it's going to run.
That is enterprise ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we are talking today about AI, and still most of our customers are somewhere using S400, so old IBM mainframe systems, right? That were developed, I think, in 80s. Last century. So it's crazy, right? That we are like stacking over on a huge technical debt. But those systems are still working. They are doing some core processes, and it's really hard to replace them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a bank, you probably from time to time need to get somebody who can write in COBOL to change something in your the corest of the core systems. For companies that are thinking about, what do I do now? I see this shiny new thing. Maybe I do have some money to spend, but I don't want to burn that money. I want to get something tangible and something that will actually help me in some way. What would be your advice? What do you think they can start with that makes sense, that isn't an overkill, that isn't too much going into the Zalot way, but it's also not, let's not do anything, let's wait another 5 years to see what happens?
Sure. So in my opinion, there are several things you need to do, and it's not like a process that you need to finish step 1 to finish step 2. It might be different in different parts of your organization, but one thing is making sure your organization has access to some kind of LLMs, right? This is very basic foundation thing. So make sure, or even better, that you have access to several of different LLMs that later could be used in chats, assistants, agentic automation, and so on. But if you don't have it, it might be really hard to implement AI, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is personal productivity, where from one hand, depending on the organization, you might want to use Copilot, or maybe there are other better solutions that can match your needs, or cheaper, because it's not cheap. But with this personal productivity, you also need to invest in education. So you need to make sure that the people who get the licenses, that they have some kind of trainings, right? You can, I don't know, think of belt certificates. They always worked with Lean, with Six Sigma.
Yeah.
That you have yellow, green, black, AI black belt. Would you like to be AI black belt?
That sounds good. I would like to have that diploma.
And then, of course, you have all bunch of areas related to knowledge management. So where you could implement assistants, preferably not with new applications, right? Because if your employees are already using, 200 applications, and I used to work in companies that had 5,000 applications globally, right? So every employee had access to multiple systems. So if you implement it in a way, here is another software as a service tool that you need to use, and here is another application, and the third AI is there, people would be confused. So in my opinion, it's best to use existing frontends. Like, let's say your company is using Slack, so why not making Slack a frontend to your AI assistants or agents? So this is one thing, right? Assistants, as we understand it, solutions that has some kind of knowledge of your organization, can help you find information quicker, but also can help you interpret. or strategize on some solutions based on this knowledge of your organization. And then, of course, you have a lot of specialized AI tools, like AI tools that can help you improve your inventory or can help you with your e-commerce to optimize what kind of products your customers are seeing, right? So I don't think we are specialists in this area. So I would actually don't go deeper here. And then you have this enterprise agentic automation, where you should think of, okay, on which platform would you like to build agents? On which platform would you like to orchestrate them? And again, there are a lot of early pioneers on the market, but it's like with all other technologies, right? Probably after few years, we'll have maybe few new players, and some of the current players will cease to exist. But if you think about what your organization needs, it's, I would say, more like a puzzles, right? It's not like a tower that you are building. Okay, first step, second step, first step. Here is a roadmap. Here is invoice for 500K. How you should implement it, but it's rather a puzzles that you need to have, right? And the frame of those puzzles is actually having access to some kind of LLM models. It can be with your existing vendors, it can be with some new providers, but you should make sure that your organization in different areas can use safe, scalable, and probably cheap solution globally. So Andrzej, maybe I will ask you what's for you most exciting when it comes to AI?
Making podcasts about AI, of course. No, not really.
Oh, come on.
Dominik is the one that came up with the idea and gave it to me as a target for this year. So, this is why we're here. Now, I think with AI, with AI automation, for me, the most exciting thing is to see all of the failures that everyone will be doing. We will also have some, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the ones that are performed by the biggest players on the market are going to be the most spectacular. Because if you are a huge consulting that is promising too much, if you're over-promising heavily on the AI front, it's going to lead to some spectacular failures. And
you can be sure we will tell about them on the podcast.
I will be so happy to talk about them in the future episodes. I'm always watching out for them because I think it's a healthy thing. You need to show the bullshitters. You need to show the ones that are unable to deliver what they're promising or over-promising. And you also have to just show things that you tried and they didn't work. And it doesn't have to be your fault that it doesn't work. We're experimenting very often with AI, right?
Yeah. But and to be fair, we also had a few pilots that we had to end on pilot stage, right? Like for one financial company, translating what the consultants are talking about with the customers, right? We actually did a very interesting POC there. But then they added new functionalities like, now we want this solution to work live for us and give tips to our consultants in real time how they should approach a certain customer.
Yeah.
Right. So when we did it like post factum, it worked.
Yeah.
But if you are adding those additional functionalities.
Yeah, it's too early. I mean, it's gonna come. Clearly, all the pieces are there. It's just not efficient or reliable enough yet. But I think it's a very good example of how we could have built something smaller that would work and bring benefit, but because the expectations were so high, we just had to say, sorry, we're not going to do it. It's from our perspective, it's not doable yet, at least for the money that you can afford, right?
That was also the problem, right? That they had a very small budget to spend, and it didn't make sense to go further.
Yeah, but this is another reason why we need to show both the things that work and the things that do not, and because people need to establish a baseline of what's real and what isn't yet, right? And this is something that for sure we're going to be working on a lot. Dominik, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm sure this is not the last time we have you on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your experience and your thoughts. And we'll see you next time.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato. Cheers, everyone. And they all automated happily ever after. Or did they? That's the end of this particular chapter in the grand, sprawling and slightly unsettling fairy tale of Automation 2025. Domo arigato for lending us your ears and your precious brain cells. We know you could be watching paint dry, or more likely watching an AI generate paint drying, so we appreciate your patronage of the slightly more human arts. Huge thanks to our guest, Dominik Jaskulski, for not just painting a picture of the future, but also bringing a map of the escape routes. And to Anna Tsubal, our producer, the one who ensures my brilliant ideas don't actually crash the server, or worse, bore you to death. Recorded in the hollowed halls of Vodzubit Studio, our own little sandbox environment where we poke the future with a stick. If this episode didn't make you want to immediately unplug all your devices, subscribe, share, and shower us with those sweet 5-star reviews. Follow us on social media, where we promise to be at least 20% less confusing than the actual future. Got thoughts, burning questions, a desperate plea for us to explain what a blockchain actually is in simple terms? Drop us a line. We love hearing from you. Unless you're a spam bot, we've got enough of those. Until next time, keep your passwords complex and your expectations for a fully automated utopia moderate. Matane.